Welcome to TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today is the day we are going to be doing the first ever Ask Me Anything here at TriTech University. So we're going to, just as this is our first time, we're going to go ahead and play it by ear a little bit. We're going to see what type of activity we have. But hopefully we'll be able to roll for half an hour, maybe even longer, asking whatever odd and end questions you have. And we're just going to jump right into things. So let me go ahead and switch over to my screen. Actually, you know what? I'm completely forgetting. So over on the right-hand side of the screen is the chat function. This is more than ever extremely critical to the function of today's session. So over on that chat tab, you're going to want to go ahead and down at the bottom click the nickname button, where you can then sign in with your name, and then that will give you the ability to ask me any questions that you want to ask, and you can interact with others that are present for today's session. I do have a few questions kind of lined up that have come in just over time here and there, so that hopefully that we can at least answer those, if nothing else. But yeah, if today's really good, then we might do other Ask Me Anything sessions down the road. And if absolutely no one has any questions, then we'll just go ahead and shut down, because obviously we're at the perfect point where the software writes itself. So, but obviously that's not going to happen. So, okay. So while we're waiting for some questions to come in, as people are probably aware, I have not yet. Pardon my questioning and my coughing. I have not yet fully fleshed out the upcoming live stream schedule for the month of May. But suffice to say that there will be at least two broadcasts, one on the 10th and one on the 24th. Those are the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And it will most likely be something along the lines of the questions that are hanging out on our polling page. Probably at least a session covering the ability to set up and sell memberships online. I know that was a very big question that came in right as we were going through our online contract process. I believe that was either last month or the month before. And then also some functions regarding consignments. I believe I've had a number of questions regarding the consignment process, so I'll probably devote a session to that as well. How consignments work, how they get received, how they get sold, how they get settled, and all the various variables in between with that. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, there was one general inquiry regarding, let me see if I can find that question. It was regarding reconciling purchase orders on one accounts payable invoice. And I had talked about this in general during a particular broadcast, but let's go back and take a closer look at when you are reconciling or inputting an AP invoice, some of the flexibility regarding that. So let's just pull in Acme here. I don't even know if I actually have any outstanding purchase orders to reconcile. Actually, perfect, I do. Okay, so we've got two outstanding POs. Let's say hypothetically that both of these purchase orders were on one invoice. So I got one, let's say $40 invoice that comprised both the $20 value of this one, the $10 value of this one, plus maybe $10 in shipping. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say that came in as of yesterday, and it was invoice this, and there's a 30-day term of payment on that. So what I can do is, let's go ahead and say it's 40 bucks. I don't necessarily need this right at the present moment, but let's go ahead and put in PO, and we will hit F6 and pull in our first one, and we'll hit enter, and you'll see that that will show up over here. And if I go ahead and then do the other one, press F6 and pull in the other one, hit enter on that, you'll see these are now both showing up along the top. And then when we get inventory, we can see these were both technically for our good old buddy RT14. 10 of them were from purchase order 678, and the other 5 came in as of purchase order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, we are reconciling both POs. We can reconcile multiples of POs. We could reconcile 3, 4, 5, however many you want. Obviously, it all just depends on how the vendor in this case actually consolidated those order line items to put onto their statement, their invoice that they sent to you. So if it does happen to include items from multiple invoices, by all means, we can go ahead and pull in those multiple invoices. And just to throw out the hypothetical, let's say maybe one invoice or one PO had 2 or more line items, but the items themselves actually, for whatever reason, got wound up splitting between 2 invoices. Well, you don't necessarily have to invoice all 15 here. If we double click on the 10 quantity line item, let's say for whatever reason only 7 of these got invoiced on this one. Well, we'll just put in a quantity of 7, and you'll see that that will now show 7 being invoiced here. There are still 3 from PO 678 that are outstanding. And if I were to save this, that would mean that PO 678 still has 3 RT14s to be expensed at some point in the future, whether that's the invoice from next month or whatever it might be. So you've definitely got some flexibility there. And then just on the actual accounts payables, quote-unquote bookkeeping side of the equation, if you do need to be able to split out the bookkeeping line items, you can put in the individual PO information here at the expensing side as well. So we go ahead and let's go ahead and complete that out. So let's pull in those 2 purchase orders again, and just to keep it simple, we will invoice all 15 here. So we're just going to go ahead and tag all items. That way they just get completely tagged in as of the value that they were received at. Let's go ahead and save that. So now we have the build cost on PO is 30, the expense is 40, and then if we come over here, if we need to, we could say that 20 bucks, or excuse me, let's not do the 20 bucks yet. Let's do the received pending invoice, and we could then select this one and break that out that way. You'll see it kind of actually change the amount for me. We could add a second line, same ledger line item, but now for the other PO. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that really doesn't matter from a bookkeeping perspective because we're still ultimately expensing $30 against the same ledger. But that can be super handy if you definitely want to go back and especially if we're talking about not necessarily the same ledger, but for whatever reason, other ledgers that you needed to expense. In most cases, it's always going to be the 20198 or your equivalent version of an inventory received pending invoice account. Older accounts of ours that actually defaulted a long time ago to a 120-98 ledger account. So you're just going to want to make sure that you are expensing the appropriate accounts. But that is a way to split that out. And if needed, you could also expense them to other store locations, again, just for the explicit purpose of bookkeeping as well. So I don't know if the person who originally asked that is in attendance today, but hopefully they will see this recording and then they'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, let's carry on. I think I did see one question come in. Again, I'm going to apologize throughout the course of today for my coughing. Summer, or rather spring allergies are all so much fun. Okay, Brian, welcome Brian. Brian is asking, is there a way to add images to products in bulk, or do they need to be added individually? Well, that is a great question there, Brian. Let's go ahead and just pull up any given inventory item. Good old RT14 is our go-to guinea pig, so we'll pull that up, and then we're just going to go straight to the Edit Inventory program. And when it comes to images, there are technically a couple of things to keep in mind with images. This is an accessory item, so it's pretty simplified as opposed to a serialized item. But at any point, when you click this Images button, this will take you into an image loader, if you will, or an image organizer. Now, look down here, right by my, across from my eyeballs here. You can see how this says we're at the model level. And if we click this little arrow button over to the right, that will go ahead and shift us over to the SKU. And I see that I've been having some fun, and I attached a Tyrannosaur to the image of the SKU. I must have done that and completely forgot about that. So, getting back to Brian's question, technically, as far as images themselves, it's going to be one at a time. You can either add local images, and then of course that will then let you go out and find the image from the file on your computer or network itself. You could also add image URLs, and those would be copied and pasted from whatever URL space they are on the web, and you would just copy and paste that in there. They get added here to the images management, if you will, at the SKU, the model. If this were a serialized item, we could go one further, and we could go to individual serial numbers and then associate images with specific serial numbers as well. This would be super helpful in the case of used and vintage gear that your store may be handling that either came in on trade or that you bought outright via a purchase, or that came in on consignment. Now, when you're turning around and uploading this to an e-commerce site, I'll just pull up our our Active E-maintenance area here, and you'll see there's an images option down here. Of course, I have to have this associated with web categories, and I don't have any web categories in my training system, so I'm going to have to apologize for that right now. But basically what that would do is that would bring up that same image organizer that we just saw, and there would be checkboxes next to each associated image. And you would then be able to check mark which images are going to be uploaded to the website. So one way or the other, you're essentially having to manage the images one by one, but then when you do have those images affiliated with the model, SKU, and serial records, at least from the e-commerce perspective, you could then easily upload them. If we're talking about other e-commerce channels such as eBay or Reverb or Gunbroker or Ammo Ready or anything like that, and again, I don't know if I have all of that set up here, but same idea. You could go to the inventory images and then just check mark which ones are going to be getting uploaded. You'll only technically be able to do, in most cases for these types of channels, you're only going to be able to do image URLs, not necessarily local images, because the way that these API communications work, there's really not an image uploader, so to speak. There's just a way to associate an image URL with that. So in cases like that, if that is something that you are managing quite a bit of, typically what I would recommend is to use an image handler such as Imgur, imgur.com, or Flickr, FLICKR.com. These are the whole reason that these sites exist is for online image management for these types of distributions. So you could upload your images to that, and then you could reference the image URLs from there, so that if you are planning on adding your inventory to as many channels as possible, it makes it very easy to do that. So great question there, Brian. Hopefully that makes sense. Devin Hello, Devin. Good to see you today. Is asking how would I go about bulk editing SKU add-ons? Let me just make sure I understand the question correctly there, Devin. I believe you are referring to this tab here, the Add-Ons tab, in the case of when you're selling something online, or not even necessarily online, but you're selling something at point of sale, and the add-on option pops up for the purposes of upselling the customer. Is that an accurate assumption there, Devin? And if that is the case, there's two ways of really doing add-ons. One is at the SKU level. So let's actually hop right back into RT14, and we can see that we could go to this Add-Ons tab, and we could then add on 1, 2 more SKUs here at the Add-Ons tab. We could also add in non-inventory categories if we so desire. But of course, this is on a SKU by SKU basis, and if we are really wanting to take advantage of the add-on functionality, yeah, this is a great way of doing it, and quite honestly, it's one of the few ways of doing it. But if you are wanting to link more general items, and Devin just confirmed that is correct. Awesome. Okay. So if you are wanting to link more generalized inventory across the board, say, for example, I know, Devin, for example, you are in the firearms industry. Let's say that you want to make a recommendation of firearms training or ammo sales or things like that to anyone who makes a purchase of a handgun. You don't necessarily need to do that on a SKU by SKU basis. You can do that at the category, or rather the subcategory level. So if we go into maintain subcategories, here at the subcategory level, let's go ahead and find that example. Let's select pistols, and we can come here to the add-on tab at the subcategory level. And any adjustments or any add-ons that we make here, if we click the add button here, and I don't know if I have any direct, just straight up ammo in my training system. I do not. But if there were, I could make those selections here and then add them onto just any straight up sales in this pistols category. I could also just skip the SKU field. And if I'm just straight up selling firearms training classes, so I'm not using the scheduling module to actually book all those out or anything like that, I could just go to the scheduling category, and I could put in a price point here. Let's say it's $50, and then I could have something in here for scheduling option for firearms training, special offer at point of purchase, just something like that. So then basically that then tells the system that if and when I sell anything out of the pistols category, it will then pop that up as an option for the upsell at point of sale. It doesn't have to be linked at the SKU, although you certainly could if you wanted to, and this could work in conjunction with specific SKUs that you have set up specific add-on items for. So that way those specific options, like maybe you're wanting to sell a fitted holster. Obviously, fitted holsters typically go with specific models of firearm, so you want to make sure that you select the appropriate SKU of the fitted holster to go with the appropriate model line. And that's something that you'd want to do at the SKU level. Offhand, I don't recall if there is a way to do that on the export. I don't think there is, just because that would be kind of a I think that's really more something that the just straight up Excel process is unable to really handle. Let's just let's just see here. So let's go ahead and call this export test. We'll save that. And we'll go ahead and export that out. So now, with that exported, if I go ahead and let's just minimize and open this up. And let's just see here. Like I said, I don't think there's anything to do with add-ons at the export level. But if there were, that would probably be the best way of handling anything at the bulk level here. So I do see reminder notes. That's kind of an additional function of the add-on. But I don't see anything as far as like add-on SKUs. I'm seeing a lot of Active E stuff. I'm seeing barcode stuff. I'm seeing Active E upsell. Additional, what is this? Additional keywords. Yep, that's not add-on. So yeah, I think really the best way to kind of handle that would be, like I mentioned, if you are doing specific add-ons for specific models, you'll definitely want to go to the individual change inventory and the individual SKUs. Otherwise, if it is something that is more bulk and can be kind of linked at the subcategory level, then that can definitely save you a lot of time, is setting up any add-ons that you so desire here. So hopefully, yeah. Hopefully that makes sense there for you, Devin. And yeah, let's just go ahead and close that out there. Okay. While we're waiting to see if any other questions come in, let me peruse my list of questions that I kind of deemed might be more suitable for a one-off type environment as opposed to a whole dedicated live stream session. Actually, someone had inquired about gift cards in our latest poll. Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about gift cards, because gift cards actually is well, technically it's a whole module in the program itself. In fact, if I go to Help and About AIM, we can see there's actually a whole section here called EE Gift Certificates. And EE Gift Certificates is technically the module that we originally had released for the purposes of tracking gift cards. Now, we don't necessarily sell that module on its own anymore. In fact, I believe anyone who's purchased AIM since version, I want to say version 7 or even version 6, that module just comes part and parcel with it. But what you can do is you can purchase gift cards, and I know I did a broadcast on this, I believe on Facebook back in the day. Let me just pull out a couple of example cards here. I think I've got a few more around. There we go. Okay, so gift cards. Let me just go ahead and switch back to the other camera. Where's my mouse? So gift cards are things like this. These are just individually barcoded cards. You can have them printed in whatever you want them to look like as far as the front and the back. But the back of each card has a unique barcode on it. And that barcode then at point of sale becomes a sellable SKU. So in AIM, first of all, you'll contact our sales team, and you will say, hey, I want to purchase some gift cards, and you'll send us the graphics, and we'll send you back a proof front and back of how it would look. Then in AIM, once you get those cards shipped to you, you would go into Add Change Inventory and Receive Gift Card. it's going to ask you for the starting number. So you'll basically be able to go ahead and take the first card out of the box and just scan it right in. Then tell it how many you've ordered. Let's say you ordered 200 cards. You put in 200 there, and it's going to ask for a purchase category. Now, you'll just go straight to, let's see, is there an e-cards? Yep, electronic cards category. It might actually be called gift cards now in the latest releases of AIM. But you would save that, and then that goes ahead and it puts all those 200 barcodes into your system. Now, there's also the ability to just receive the gift cards right over the internet, so you don't even need to scan them in and tell it how many you bought. I don't know if I don't have any open orders, obviously, in my system, so that wouldn't work in my case. But then at point of sale, you don't necessarily need to sell this to anyone in particular. You would just scan in. I don't, of course, have a barcode scanner, and I don't even have these cards in the system, but you would just scan that barcode off of the back of the card at point of sale, and AIM will ask, it recognizes that as a gift card, and it says, okay, how much would you like to put onto this card? And it might be 25 bucks, it might be 50 bucks, it might be 5 pennies. Obviously, you'll probably you'd probably want to insist that they put at least a sizable amount on an individual gift card, because obviously you're purchasing these cards from us. The more cards you buy in bulk, then the less expensive they are per card. I want to say it's been a long time since I've looked at the pricing, but I want to say at a fairly modest price point, they become less than $1 a card. So if you wanted to say, you need to put at least $5 on a card, technically you're within, your own ability to do so. AIM will recognize and accept any value that you put on that card. They will then pay for it however they would normally pay for it, cash, check, credit card, however. And then they'll go out and they will give that gift card to someone. That gift card is in your system, and it is tracking that specific value to that specific barcode. So they'll go out, they'll give it to anyone they want, and then at some point, hopefully, the card will come back to the store, and then they will say, hey, I'd like to make a purchase. So they'll start shopping around, and they'll make a settlement on something, and they'll bring that to the counter, and they'll say, I want to use my gift card. So you'll come to the tender menu, and you will click the e-card or gift card option. It'll ask you to rescan the barcode on that card, and then it will come up and say, not that you have a driver ready to download, but it'll say that you have X amount of dollars to redeem off of that. If the amount on the card is greater than the amount of the sale, AIM will keep track of the remaining value on that card, so that it can go back and then bring it back later on to use the remainder of it at any point down the road. If the entire balance is expended at that point and redeemed, then you can just take that card and throw it away, because it is no longer usable at that point for security purposes. If a customer ever inquires about the balance on a card, there is a module in I believe it is the customer utilities menu. Yep, gift card lookup. So in the customer module underneath utilities, you could go to gift card lookup, scan that card, and AIM will let you know what, if any, balance is remaining on that card. And you might have also noticed that in that same area, there is the ability to charge service fees. Service fees are basically a way to reduce the value of cards based on these parameters. So you can reduce the balance on cards. You can also reduce the balance on what we call renewable cards. That's a special kind of card. It usually acts more like a debit card. And then you can choose cards with either no activity for the past X number of months, or that are greater than X months old, and then you can either deduct a certain percent of the balance, a dollar amount, or you could just close out the balance. And you'll see if you choose that option, basically it just says, okay, these cards are no longer going to actually be having a value honored on them. Now, I will mention this. There has been quite a bit of hullabaloo, if you will, kind of revolving around this whole concept. So you will very likely want to check the, for all intents and purposes, the legality of charging service fees on gift cards, because I know Best Buy in particular got bit with quite a hefty, I think it was a civil lawsuit regarding the balances of gift cards that were out and about. So I believe that's something that will vary state by state. So you'll just want to check that out if that's something that that you want to look into. There was another part of that question that mentioned if I'm transitioning into AIM from another program and I have gift cards with balances, is there a way to import those balances without selling another card? Honestly, from my perspective, I don't believe so, just because these cards are proprietary and I don't know of a way to really go out and say, yes, this card that's out in the wild is now linked to this card, without actually having the physical card there. But I would actually recommend checking with technical support on that. I want to say that if you have effectively a spreadsheet of that data available, that is something that I think we can work with. But if that's not available, if it's effectively just a being handled more like a kind of like a Visa sale, then I don't know if that's something that we can do. But yeah, I think that was all of the questions regarding gift cards. Getting back to the live questions, Devin is asking, is there a way to use the value on the gift card without the physical card, say if the card was lost or destroyed? Technically, yes. If you have a way to verify that the customer had a specific card, you could, in AIM, you could go and you could run a report on gift card balances. When you run that report, that will print out the card details with the balances there. And since the card itself is basically just a barcode, you could then type that barcode number into the point of sale, or not necessarily the point of sale, but when you are tendering, you could type the barcode of that card into here, because a scanner, for those of you who are not in the know, a scanner is basically just a glorified keyboard. It happens to be a really fast and accurate one, but when you scan a barcode, all you're basically doing is you're just taking that number and reading it into wherever the cursor happens to be. In this case, it's the scan gift card barcode field. So typing it in is exactly the same thing as scanning it in, and then that gives you the ability to reconcile or technically redeem the card, in this case, even if you don't have the physical card available to scan. So again, just because gift cards are typically something that is meant to be given away, there's not really a way to look up, for example, the purchase history of that person who says, I got this card, because they wouldn't have been the one to purchase it originally. So that's something that you might have to do some digging on, and you would probably want to do that away from the point of sale counter, just because that can be something that could take up some time and clog the sales process if you have a pretty transitional front counter point of sale. You probably want to do that away from that. Okay. So thank you so much for all of the questions today. That is awesome. We're already past technically the point where I would normally be wanting to wrap up. So let's just see if there are any other questions that might be coming in. And actually, now that I think about it, let me see if I can pull up. I need to open up my email. So pardon me for just one moment while I open up my email on one other monitor here. But our marketing person wanted to ask me if I could send something out to all of the attendees today. That is a nice little perk, if you will. Let me find the email. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to paste a web link into the chat. So everyone over on the chat now, you should see that chat link there, that conta.cc. That is basically a constant contact email that was sent out. And the whole idea of that email, let me just bring it down here to the screen. This is a, what's the word I'm looking for? An incentive plan, if you will, to get our name out to even more folks. So if you happen to know friends in businesses that are in need of a point of sale solution and an inventory management solution and an accounting solution and basically all of the things for the reason why you bought AIM to begin with, send them this link and we will be happy to reach out to them and find out if our solution would be something that would be worthwhile for them if they have an interest in it. We will give them $250 off towards the purchase of their own copy of AIM. And if they do purchase, you will get rewarded with a $250 credit of your own that you could apply towards our products or services, whether that is being applied towards your monthly maintenance or your Active E agreements, or if you want to turn around and buy an additional user license or whatever you'd like to do. That's technically also 2 hours of online training. So yeah, there's that 250 can go quite a long way. They'll simply click this link and then they'll fill in their contact info and they'll ask who they got the link from, and that way we know who to reach out and give the credit to. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. Copy that link off of the chat and into wherever you want to kind of maintain that for your record keeping purposes, because yeah, we are always looking to find additional clients that we can help grow their business. Let's see if there are any other questions. And Devin, I see you say that report is perfect. So awesome. Glad to know that can be of a help there for you. Let me just see if there are any other questions that are kind of outstanding that might have snuck in over the months. I don't really think there are anything here that I didn't either already answer in the form of an entire live stream broadcast, or I know I covered actually quite a bit of them in one of last month's broadcasts, which was kind of the pro tips and tricks live stream session. So if you did not attend that session, definitely go on the video page to the recent live streams playlist and check that out, because you might find quite a number of answers in there as well. You know what? I think, let's see. Actually, I just see Brian is asking a question. Is there an easier way to look at all of our customers, like when you hit the Change Customers button, but to show all of the customers we have without exporting to Excel to look at all of the numbers? Yes, actually, Brian, there is definitely a way of doing that. So anytime you are at a customer search screen, and I'll just bring one up by going to the Change Customers option. So in version 12, we instituted what we call a live search. In version 11 and older, it would always just list out all of the customers and then when you started typing in a name or a phone number or an address or whatever you typed in, it would take you to what it thought was the closest match. And in version 12, we changed that so that it would do a live search exclusively on whatever you type in. So in this case, I type in Mike. That brings me to the only Mike that I have in my system, Mike Anderson. If the name was in fact Mike Patello, that customer doesn't exist, and I would then know to come over and click the Add Customer button, which of course isn't here because this is the Change Customer function. But I say all that to say this. If you would like to mimic what it used to do, which was basically display all customers, and then you could scroll through them, simply uncheck the live search and then hit enter back in the search tab or in the search field, and that will bring you back to basically a complete listing of all of your customers. From there, if you wanted to, you could click into the individual column filters, column search criteria, and you could do the same thing. You could type in Mike, or you could type in over in the address column anyone who lives on Main Street, or whatever you wanted to do at that point. So yeah, by unchecking live and then hitting enter, you are essentially searching your entire customer database, and then you can either just kind of scroll through there. Technically, if you even wanted to, you could right-click and print this data, or even export it to Excel if you wanted to. But yeah, that's another way of browsing. That's the word I'm looking for. Browsing your customer list. Okay. Let's just let's just see if there are any other questions that come in. And good. Glad to hear it, Brian. Yeah, let's just see if there's any other questions that come in. I would say that this session has been a successful session. Wouldn't you agree? Maybe we will, kind of like the name of today's session implied, maybe we'll do this quarterly. So this kind of counts for the, I think I called this the Q1 session. So that would be January, February, March, technically into April. Yeah, let's, why don't we plan another one into maybe near to the end of, let's see, we're kind of halfway through the spring session. So maybe halfway through the summer season, maybe around, let's see, if this is the month of April, maybe right around in the latter part of July. Maybe we'll do another Ask Me Anything, an AMA session. Ask the Professor. Give everyone a chance to build up some questions that aren't that maybe are going to be too small to answer, or to dedicate an entire live stream topic to. I can kind of build up that same list just like I've done here in the past. And of course, everyone is free to attend the session live and ask the questions right then and there. So yeah, why don't we plan on that? We'll give 1 or 2 more minutes to see if any other questions come in. For those of you who maybe weren't with us right at the very beginning, as I mentioned at the beginning, the playlist has not yet been updated for the upcoming live stream schedule for the month of May, but I do plan on doing my usual 2 live streams for the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. That would be the 10th, May 10th and May 24th. I'll plan on doing one on an online membership sign-up form using our online contracts process. And then we'll also maybe do one kind of focusing on consignments start to finish. Because I know I did a broadcast on consignments a long time ago, and at this point it's in some desperate need of a retrofit and a sprucening up, taking that 1 hour session that I did way back in the day and bringing it to the modern era of these more tight live stream sessions. So yeah, we'll probably do that the 10th and the 24th, or the vice versa. Maybe I'll do the consignments first and the membership second. Either way, those will be the 2 sessions that we'll be doing for the month of May. And then by all means, please continue to make some topic suggestions for me for June and beyond up in the polls section. Don't click on it now because that'll take you away. But anytime you go to that polls area, that's where you can make some suggestions for ongoing live stream topics. And I want to make sure that the topics are relevant to everyone. So yeah, we'll focus on those. I did see some other questions sneak in here. Devin is asking, on the customer search window, what are the O and C columns for? That is an excellent question there, Devin. So on that topic window, or on that search window, let me go ahead and switch back to, actually, let's just bring this back up here. So you might notice if I look at all my customers, some of my customers have asterisks in the O column, and some customers have asterisks in the C column. What that asterisk represents is whether the customer has any active open account items, or if they have any active contractual or long-term contract items. In this case, Mr. Anderson has both. You'll notice if I pull him up and bring him into point of sale, he has an entire modicum of activity outstanding on his account. He's got credits, he's got charge sales, he's got a rent-to-rent contract. So the rent-to-rent contract suffices for the C asterisk, and basically everything else would be all the O's. So yeah, basically that's just a quick little way of knowing if that customer has any open activity with you, for lack of a better term. And that open activity can be one of 2 avenues, if you will, open account activity or contractual activity. And that contractual activity could be rent-to-rent, it could be rent-to-own, it could be sales contracts, it could be extended warranties. But it's something where typically there is a series of payments that has a term payment activity to it. And Brian is saying, I'm having a little bit of brain fuzz while we're live. I'm sure I have a million questions once you're no longer broadcasting, but this has been extremely helpful for odds and ends, and thank you for your time. Well, thank you for yours, because yeah, I know that everyone technically has to kind of step away from their storefront while they're attending these, and I don't take that for granted. I've been to quite a number of stores on site where I'm always having to work around, and I'm happy to do so, but working around the people that I'm training while they're actively running their business, having to work with customers to help them make their purchases and to do all different kinds of things. So yeah, I appreciate everyone's time, and I know that there are quite a few people who are not able to attend these sessions live. So hopefully when they go back and check out the recording, they'll find some handy little tips and tricks here and there. And they can always make those submissions offline using the poll function, and then we can answer those for them later on. Excellent. Well, I think we're kind of wrapping up here. If I see any more questions pop in, I will definitely try and answer those. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and say thank you once again for your attention today and your attendance. I wouldn't be here without you guys and gals, so appreciate everyone being here. I will go ahead and put this in the recent live streams recording, just like I always do. You can expect that to be there. Hopefully by the end of today. The computer's been a little slower running these processes, but if not the end of today, then definitely by the end of tomorrow it will be up and live for everyone to attend or to browse and view at their pace. So thanks everyone, and I believe we will see you next month May 10th. I hope you all can make it a great day and take care.